Hello RageQuitters and welcome to our video review of Resident Evil 7. This will be the 22nd game in the franchise, which is kind of mind-boggling. That's a lot of games. So, will Resident Evil 7 reclaim its throne as the king of survival horror, or will it simply stagger around limply like a brainless lab experiment? Let's find out. Resident Evil 7's gone through a bit of an identity change. It's now referred to as Resident Evil 7 Biohazard for the rest of the world, and for Japan it's known as Biohazard 7 Resident Evil. Quite a mouthful and a curious change. The purists among you will notice one massive omission from this game. Yep, you've got it, that's the famous announcer when you start a new game, namely
Resident Evil.
Or if you're playing the Japanese version,
Biohazard.
Which I think sounds absolutely awesome. Those two clips are from the 1996 original game, which is superb. Cheesy but superb. Of course, this isn't a massive deal, it just shows that Capcom wanted to move things forward in a more realistic way. It does feel a bit arcade with the voice, but nevertheless, let's move on. So, this review is based on the PC version, which shipped simultaneously with the console versions. Performance, for the most part, is great, with frame rates reaching 100 plus in most areas. There are a few issues with stream stuttering every now and then, but nothing that pulls you out of the experience. There are tons of options to tweak and tune, from texture quality, field of view adjustment, and even HDR support, that is if you're rocking a sweet TV or a new monitor. The game is actually now utilising Capcom's in-house RE engine, which allows for some seriously awesome visuals. Most of the game is seamless with minimal loading. It's hard to ignore the amount of eye candy on show. The game even has support for virtual reality, which is only available for PlayStation owners. Those lucky buggers get a year exclusive. I hear that enterprising modders have actually managed to get VR working on the PC version. Check out the Steam forums or do a bit of googling, you never know what you'll find. I do hear it is quite involved and a bit fiddly, so at your own risk. Our experience with the PC version was, for the most part, okay, but we did have a few annoyances. First off, it's not very alt-tab friendly and freezes when you try to multitask, which is not great for a Windows PC. There's also an odd issue if you launch the game with the controller plugged in, the mouse or keyboard won't function. Not great. You need to remove the controller and wait a few seconds for the game to actually recognise that it's not connected anymore and the keyboard and mouse will kick in. Very strange. Speaking of keyboard and mouse, the game has full UI control with the mouse wheel and the actual mouse pointer, which is good. So that's a plus point there. Also has some issues, again, freezing issues, performance issues with the NVIDIA Shadow Play, which is our preferred tool for recording gameplay footage. It's mainly an issue with the game temporarily freezing. We hope these issues are soon addressed. Otherwise, a very good experience on PC. So let's get the story out of the way. It's not amazing, but it is entertaining and there's a couple of twists here and there. You are Ethan Winters and you are tasked with finding your wife Mia, who has been missing from a babysitting job for about 3 years now. You receive an email from Mia that asks one simple favour: come and get me. Of course, it's not as straightforward as that, and you're soon up to your nuts and guts and weird shadow puzzles. You find yourself at a seemingly abandoned plantation in Dulvey, Louisiana. Once you exit your car and make your way through the beautiful yet eerie forest, you find yourself locked in the Baker's family house. Shit goes south very quickly. Pun intended. South. Louisiana? Get it? I'll carry on, sorry. As you explore further into the dilapidated homestead, you find Mia. However, she's not quite herself, and things soon heat up. Jack Baker, the head of the household, soon introduces himself, showing off that good old southern hospitality. In this case, it's a punch and a boot to the face. Welcome to the family, son. The main gameplay components of Resident Evil 7 are mainly unchanged. Explore, find keys, solve puzzles, kill the mutations that occupy the Baker estate, and take on the members of the Baker family themselves. Unfortunately, there is very little variety in the game's enemies. They are mainly made up of the Moulded, which are fully evolved infected. The Moulded are considered the basic enemies of Resident Evil 7 and aren't classed as zombies as such, although some are formed from dead humans. They are created when the virus completely takes over a body. There is a crawler variant, which is very similar to the Lickers from Resident Evil 2 minus the meter-long tongue. There are also the main Moulded, the most common. These guys bear a canny resemblance to Resident Evil 4's Regenerator, minus the spikes and the ability to regenerate. Finally, we have the fat moulded, acid-spitting bullet sponges. Aim for the head to avoid the noxious bile. Of course, there are other enemies in the game, such as various bugs and the odd environmental trick and trap. The perils just feel lacking compared to the previous games. A new crafting system allows for on-the-fly manipulation and creation of ammo and health potions. While this is a welcome addition to the game, it can be cumbersome when you're in the middle of heated combat. As with previous titles, inventory management is key. However, this can be expanded upon by collecting backpacks that are scattered throughout the estate. There are plenty of scares in Resident Evil 7. Some feel genuinely original, but others feel like cheap jump scares. It's fairly obvious that Capcom have taken inspiration from films such as The Ring and also games such as Outlast and Amnesia, which is no bad thing. These were really good games. Fans of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis will feel right at home with the Bakers as Jack stalks and chases you through the estate, and Marguerite, Jack's wife, will incessantly hunt you down with her band of bugs. It adds a lot to the atmosphere, although they are pretty dumb at times. They are easily avoided. You can actually take Jack down with a few well-aimed headshots. It is a waste of ammo to start with, but once you complete the game, you get a special little gift, which makes the process a lot easier. The characters for the main part are really well designed and voiced, Jack and Marguerite in particular. Also, special mention must go to Lucas, the rebellious son, who is also fixated on Ethan's destruction, only in his own unique way. Let's just say he's seen way too many Saw movies. The switch to first-person perspective also helps immensely. The animations and on-screen effects are pleasing to the eyes, save for the blood effect, which can be tweaked to avoid excessive screen clutter. Full body awareness has also been added, which looks great, especially when Ethan receives so much grueling punishment from the many antagonists. It can get rather unnerving seeing your hand and leg being cut off. Very effective. The game's audio is also of the usual Capcom high standards. Thunderstorms, rain, moans and groans and slamming of doors all add to the wonderful oral experience. Music is used sparingly, which, like the previous games, works really, really well. It wouldn't be a Resident Evil game if we didn't mention the weapons. You get to dish out the punishment by using a modest selection of melee weapons, handguns, shotguns, and yes, you'll need a broken one, or even better, a toy one to get a shotgun. Also rifles and special power-ups. Unfortunately, you can't upgrade the actual weapons, but you can find hidden syringes that boost Ethan's health, reload speed, defense proficiency and the amount of damage he dishes out. There are various antique coins scattered around that you can use to unlock additional powers or even bonus weapons. One particular weapon was the Mag 44 hand cannon, which is a bit of a waste considering the ammunition is so scarce. I think I found around 12 rounds through my entire run through. That's where the X-ray specs will come in handy. More on that later. So, is Resident Evil 7 actually any good? Well, simple answer is yes. This is Capcom back on form. Gone are the quick time events and over the top fast paced combat segments. No convoluted long drawn out boss fights. Well, maybe one, but we can forgive that. The Nemesis system proves very effective. Jack bursting through a door gave us a genuine scare on more than one occasion. So what did we dislike about the game? Well, the momentum picks up just after you leave the plantation, and not really in a good way. Ammunition is easy to come by and the enemies increase. It disrupted the flow and tempo of things somewhat. Jack's final form boss fight is really annoying and feels very reminiscent of one of Resident Evil 6's boss fights, long and drawn out with cheap tactics. You need to be headshot savvy in Resident Evil 7. Body shots on all enemy types don't seem to do much damage, if any. Was this by design perhaps? The game takes control away from the player way too much in our opinion, and certain cutscenes can't be skipped. This is due to the cinematic nature of the game, which is understandable. However, it would be nice to be able to skip all cutscenes rather than select ones, especially if you're replaying the game in order to get items or achievements, or if you're just going for a speed run. It'd be nice to be able to skip everything. That said, these are minor complaints and don't really hurt the game that much, especially once you complete it. Resident Evil 7 is indeed a return to form. Its main purpose is to be played as a slow-paced, methodical survival horror game. There are puzzles, great combat, item and player upgrades along with memorable characters and level design. The audio and visuals are exceptional, which add to the foreboding, claustrophobic atmosphere. As usual, Capcom caters for the completionists out there with a new Game Plus mode and various rewards given for completing the game in under 4 hours. There's a lot to come back to. Complete the game and you will unlock Madhouse mode, which spices things up with added difficulty and rearranged items. It will challenge the most hardened Resident Evil player. Capcom have released 3 pieces of paid DLC so far, with more on the way in the coming weeks. Well, we have our beloved survival horror injected back into Resident Evil at last. Now let's see what Capcom does with their remaster of Resident Evil 2. Thanks for watching, and as usual, please feel free to comment, like and subscribe to our channel. We'll love you for it forever. Take it away, Jack.
Do me a favor and stay dead.